Okay, hey guys. Again, we're not having class today, obviously, so we're doing the hybrid. We're going to talk about stress and its sources today. So our topic this week is stress management, and that's the only thing we're really going to talk about this week. And I'm really excited about it because I love teaching stress management. I actually teach multiple sections of stress management at Western, so it is a wonderful topic, and I think it's really, really helpful for all college students. So I want to break down stress and let's talk about different stressors. So briefly, while we're starting this, I want you to write down in your notes what stresses you out. So what is it that causes stress for you? Is it class? Is it relationships? Is it assignments, etc., etc.? I want you to take just a few minutes right now to figure out what stresses you out. Okay, so we'll come back to those stressors and hopefully we'll be able to deal with them a little bit this week. So, first of all, what is stress? What defines stress? Stress is the collection of physical and emotional changes we experience in responses to the demands of stressors. So, that is exactly what stress is. There are two different types of stress. So, there are acute and chronic stress. Acute is exactly what it sounds like. Acute is the short term stress that results in fight or flight. Typically, acute stress is muscle tension, headaches, migraines, heartburn. All of those things are acute stress, and they only last for a very short period. And by a short period, I mean a couple of hours, maybe a day, maybe 2 days. That's pretty much acute stress. Anything beyond that is chronic stress. Chronic stress is long lasting, it's long term stress that makes a very significant impact on your well being, physical and mental, as well as emotional. So, a chronic stress typically goes into what's called general adaptation syndrome, and general adaptation syndrome is the body's response to stress. So, the body has to deal with stress some way, shape, or form. There's no other way to put it other than you're putting stress on your body. So, the reaction that your body has comes in three different stages. The first stage is alarm stage, so your body is reacting to that acute stressor. So it's fight or flight. It's deciding if you need to fight off something or if you need to run away from something, basically. So acute stress, again, is just that small stressor in your life. It's that one assignment that's causing you a little bit of anxiety, that one moment that irritated you a little bit. It's just that small moment that's causing you to react and sending the body into fight or flight mode. Then, if we go past fight or flight mode, then we're in stage 2, which is resistance. And the resistance stage is the body is attempting to adapt to the demands that the stressor is placing upon it. So, negative work environment, chronic physical pain, unhappy relationship, all of those things are kind of long-term stressors that your body's trying to figure out how to adapt to. And sometimes it's really difficult for the body to process mental stressors as well as emotional stressors. Now, if we continue to resist the stressor and we continue to try and adapt to it, but the body can adapt, then we move into stage 3. And stage 3 is exhaustion. Obviously, if you're fighting off stressors for a very long period of time, the body's going to get tired. That's the way it is with anything else, is if you do anything for a long period of time, then you are going to get tired. Exhaustion phase is where we don't want to be at any point in our lives. So what happens during exhaustion is the state of the body is impaired. There's basically impaired functioning going on within the body, within organs, with persistent stressors, and it causes the body to exhaust its coping skills. So the definition, quote unquote, is the state of impaired functioning that occurs if a persistent stressor exhausts the body's resources for coping. We really just can't cope anymore. We're out of strategies and we don't know what else to do. The body does not know what else to do. It doesn't know how else to fight off what's going on. So it's left exhausted, basically. You've exhausted all of your options. So there are also different types of stress. So we have eustress and distress. Eustress is good stress. Eustress is positive stress, if that's what you want to call it, is positive stress. So it is stress that enhances your physical or mental functioning, things that are good that are going on in your life. So, for example, positive stress would be getting married. That's a positive stress, hopefully. Having a baby, that's a positive stress. Buying a house, that's a positive stress usually. All of those things are positive stressors that enhance your functioning some way, shape, or form. Now, distress is negative stress. That's the stress we don't want in our lives. That's the stress that causes emotional pain, anxiety, or injury, especially if a stress isn't resolved in any way, shape, or form. So, we'll get to this later on, but there are different types of positive stress, and there are different types of negative stress. So we'll discuss that in just a little bit. But first I want to go back to fight or flight, because we were talking about that in the general adaptation syndrome in the first stage, which is your alarm stage, and that's the fight or flight. So the stress response prepares the body for a physical reaction to a threat, regardless of whether the perceived threat is real or not. So the stress response involves several different systems and hormones within our body, and one is the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system has two different parts that are very crucial to your fight or flight response, and that's your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. So our autonomic nervous system provides unconscious controls of critical body processes like the heart, breathing, digestion, blood pressure. All of those things are a part of the autonomic nervous system. So the two different parts I was talking to you about, sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is the general fight or flight response. It's the one that's telling your body if you need to run or if you're ready to fight. So two different parts of that are adrenaline. So your adrenaline is pumping typically when you're in fight or flight. Epinephrine is what that's called. And that increases your heart rate, your blood pressure, your energy supply. So it's increasing energy supply for you to survive, basically. So that's exactly what the alarm reaction is it's increasing that energy supply for you to be able to survive. Then you have cortisol. And cortisol is the second half of your sympathetic nervous system when it's involving fight or flight, and that increases the change of the fight or flight response. So cortisol is typically considered the stress hormone, and that's going to gauge what level of stress you should be under. For example, you smell smoke, so your brain's trying to decipher if it's a fire or if it's just kind of a fire alarm, right? So is it burnt popcorn or is it a real fire kind of thing? That's what your brain's processing all at one time. And so that's the cortisol level of, your cortisol level is going to be a lot higher if it's a real fire versus burnt popcorn. So that's what the sympathetic nervous system is trying to figure out. And then we move to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is equally as important in this process because it helps return the body to homeostasis. If we stay in the sympathetic nervous system, then we're going to reach that exhaustion phase, and we don't want to do that. So parasympathetic nervous system decreases the heart rate, it decreases blood pressure, it calms all that adrenaline back down, and it's responsible for oxytocin. And oxytocin carries information from one nerve cell to another. So it is telling different nerve cells, hey, we're okay. All is well, we're good, we can calm back down, we don't have to have a high heart rate, we don't have to have high blood pressure, we can adjust. We don't need to sweat, our eyes don't need to dilate, all the things. So our body is coming back down from the adrenaline rush that the sympathetic nervous system has given. So both of these systems in the autonomic nervous system have to be in play in fight or flight. They have to be in play. So they balance each other out in order for us to stay at homeostasis. Now, an important fact which I find interesting is fight or flight releases over 1,400 chemical reactions in your body at one time, some continuing for hours after the stressor that caused it has passed. So 1,400 chemical reactions in your body is a lot, and that tells you exactly what's going on. There's so much stuff going on in your body with fight or flight that it's ridiculous. Your body's, again, trying to decipher, is it burnt popcorn? Is it a real fire? Should I run? What do I need to grab? Do I help people? Do I need to get water? All of those things are going on in your brain all at one time, and it's releasing all kinds of chemical reactions for you to react. So either you're reacting with adrenaline or parasympathetic nervous system's giving you oxytocin. All of those things are coming into play with fight or flight. Okay, so we have two different emotions we need to talk about today. Obviously, there are a lot of different emotions with stress, but the two main ones that I really want to talk to you about are fear and anger, because they play a big part in stress. So if you really think about it, when you're stressed, most of the time those emotions are coming into play. You're either fearful, you're afraid of something, or you're angry at something. So fear is the irrational phobia. So we talked about phobias last week and what they were. Most people have phobias of snakes, spiders, blood, height. What are some other ones that we talked about? Nonetheless, we talked about all of those phobias and what they can bring to your life. So fear equals irrational fear equals a phobia. And fear has different strategies that we can conquer it by. So there are 3 different worrying strategies that I want you guys to know. So there's self-monitoring, so being aware of your fear and being aware that it could be irrational. 2, cognitive therapy. We talked about cognitive therapy last week. And 3, worry exposure. So worry exposure is almost a sense of desensitization, where you are putting yourself in that situation of whatever makes you fearful, and you are taking baby steps to conquer that fear. Then we go to anger. So a big question with anger, is it healthy? What do you guys think? Is it healthy for us to be angry? Is it a good emotion for us to display? Just some thoughts there. Some important questions to ask when angry. Is the situation important enough to get angry about? Is it worth even getting angry over? Am I justified in getting angry? Do I have a reason to be angry? Will expressing my anger make a positive difference? Will it impact this situation at all? Is it going to make a difference in how I feel, what the situation is, how the other person feels, etc.? So, factors affecting the experience of stress. We have different factors. Personality obviously is a factor. Gender and biological sex is a big factor, and then ways of thinking are very big factors. So let's talk about personality. So personality, there are many different personality types, and hopefully everyone has taken a Myers-Briggs personality test. If not, I will have one for you on Thursday that you can take home and take. Type A people are ambitious, they're impatient, time-conscious, goal-driven, and competitive. They also can be very aggressive, so they're definitely the people that are going to run over you to get to their goals. Type B are the patient, easygoing, and adaptable people. They're the laid-back people. Type C are the introverted, respectful, eager to please and compliment. They're very compliant. And then you have the Type D personality, which are anxious, easily irritated, and depressed. They have depressed mood swings in each of those things. So, in thinking of your personality, I kind of want you to think about where you fit in. What is your personality type? Are you ambitious? Are you impatient? Are you easygoing? Are you introverted? Are you respectful? Do you want to please others? Do you have significant mood swings? All of those things are important for us to talk about when it comes to stress. Personality is a big part of stress and what stresses you out. Then we lead into gender and biological sex. So when coping, women and men typically have very different strategies of coping with stress. Women participate in what is called Tend and Befriend. Tend and Befriend is the topic when women go to their friends and they hash it out. They talk to each other about it. Women are all about talking, communicating in small groups. So they go to a friend about whatever's stressing them out and they talk to them about it, and usually they feel better. They're not necessarily looking for a solution, they just want to get it off their chest. Women also experience a lot of oxytocin, and we just talked about oxytocin, but it's a little different for women. So oxytocin plays a big role in relationships and bonding, and so women produce a lot of oxytocin because women are bonded creatures. They have a lot of close relationships, and they form a lot of close relationships through oxytocin. Then men, the testosterone tends to overshadow everything else. So men tend to be a little bit more aggressive about their stress. Maybe they take it out on other people. They're not as talkative as women. And typically men go to different substances like alcohol or drug abuse when they're stressed. And then ways of thinking. So transactional model of stress, there are 3 stages. Your first stage is your primary appraisal. So your initial reaction of the stressor. What's your initial reaction? Then your second phase is your secondary appraisal, which is how much control you feel in that situation of the stressor. And then 3 is your coding, you're deciding what to do. And that's your way of thinking. And a lot of people's way of thinking is very different, but we all go through these 3 stages whether we come to the same conclusion or not. So we all have a reaction, we all have a sense of control, and we all have a way of deciding what to do with that stressor. Alright, and then physiological effects of stress. So obviously stress is a big part of health and wellness, and that's why we're talking about it. So physiological effects of stress. Too much stress inhibits the digestion system, tissue repair, immune system, inflammatory systems. All of those systems are compromised whenever you're stressed out. Studies show that people with high stress are twice as likely to develop colds. 70 to 80% of doctor's visits are stress related, which is a lot. That's a high percentage. And some examples of that are high blood pressure, diarrhea, backaches, ulcers, again I said diarrhea already, fatigue, insomnia, physical weakness. All of those things have to do with stress. And all of those things lead to doctor visits like a runny nose, a cold, or coughing. So your immune system's compromised from stress, so therefore you're more likely to get sick, which leads to doctor visits. Alright, so if we encounter stress a lot in our lives, and I know that we all can get stressed sometimes because we're all in an academic setting, so there are different stress-related problems that we can see throughout our lifetime, and we want to make sure that these don't happen. So some issues that you might see crop up and we need to take care of right away are damage to arteries in the heart, so elasticity is gone in the heart, increased blood pressure, heart rate, blood fat, and glucose levels, increased risk of an acute infection like immune system, sinus infection, flu. All of those things are acute infections. Increased body fat storage, so you're more likely to store fat away whenever you're stressed. Muscle tension in the head, neck, and shoulders, you carry a lot of tension in those areas, so you're more than likely going to feel extremely tight. Worsening of heartburn, diarrhea, or constipation, either way, your digestive system is going to be way off track if you're experiencing a lot of stress. Worsening of acne, psoriasis, or hives, so acne tends to act up whenever you're extremely stressed, and that's more likely due to lack of sleep, eating habits, exercise. All of those things play a part in acne. And then you have disruption of sleep patterns, so more than likely you have patterns of insomnia where you can't sleep or you sleep too much. You take naps in the day, so therefore your sleeping patterns off at night. All of those things impact your sleep patterns. And then obviously with stress you're going to have emotional effects. Nobody goes through stress and doesn't have emotional effects. That's part of stress. So some emotional effects that you are going to experience with chronic stress is anger, hostility, irritability, anxiety, depression, powerlessness, and total overwhelming feelings. So you just feel overwhelmed all the time. And I know a lot of people, whenever they are stressed, they're very irritable. They're very hostile to other people, and it's not necessarily that they're angry at that person. They are just super stressed, and sometimes they don't even realize it. So top stressors in life, most of the time it's money, job stability, and personal safety. Each of those things plays a huge part in stressors in life and throughout life. Alright, so now I really want to talk about managing stress, because that's really important. We all have stress in our lives some way, shape, or form, whether it's money, job, school, relationships, etc., and we all have to find a strategy that works for us. Everyone's different, and not everything works for everyone. So that's really what I want to focus on this week with you guys, is finding a strategy that works for you, because we are all stressed at some point again. So the book discusses cognitive therapies, cognitive strategies for managing stress. So some cognitive strategies would be positive self-talk, mental restructuring, mental visualization, each of those things. Healthy relationships are a big part of managing stress, so spending time with friends and family or your significant other, that's a good way to de-stress. Living a healthy lifestyle is also very important to stress. We keep talking about it over and over again this semester, but that's going to be the trend of this class, is that physical activity and a healthy diet are the most crucial parts to your life in general. They are the linchpins to coping with stress, to emotional wellness, to mental wellness, etc., etc., etc. If you live a healthy lifestyle, you are more than likely going to do a lot better at coping with stress than anyone else. Spiritual wellness is also very important, so staying connected spiritually, whatever that means for you, whether you're doing meditation, you're praying, you're going to church, you're reading the Bible, or whatever it means to you, you feel connected. And then different relaxation techniques. So again, we're going to talk about this. Megan's going to present on yoga on Thursday, which is going to be very helpful. That's a relaxation technique that you can use. Meditation is another one. Mindfulness is another one. So all of those things are relaxation techniques that we're going to talk about this week. And hopefully we find something, again, that works for you, because that's really the important part of this week. Cognitive strategies, I've already talked about positive self-talk. So the ABCDE model is important for you to know. A stands for adversity, so make sure you identify adversity. What is it that's causing stress in your life? B, believe about the adversity. So your belief in that stressor is very important for you to be aware of. C is identify the consequences of that belief. So what is it that's causing the issue? What is the consequence of that action? D, begin to dispute the belief. So again, like we talked about last week, ask yourself questions. You don't want to just assume that you believe something just because. You need to have a rational explanation for your belief and why you believe in that. And that's important, is for you to be able to question yourself and dispute those beliefs. And then E, become re-energized in that belief and become re-energized in life as a whole. Some more cognitive strategies. Focus on the present. Focus on the now. We're not in the future, and we're certainly not in the past. So live each day to the fullest that you possibly can and enjoy every moment of it, because we only get that moment in that moment. So again, focus on the present. Set realistic goals for yourself. So that's a way to strive for something in your life, is set goals. Whether it's your behavior change goal, or whether it's I'm going to get this homework done by Wednesday, or my goal is to do all my homework before Friday so that way I can go out with my friends. We all need to have goals in our life, so we strive to achieve something. That way you feel successful, you feel like you're accomplishing something, which is important, and it helps with stress management. We also need to develop problem-solving skills, and hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit more about this on Thursday, of what problem-solving skills really mean in life. So problem-solving skills are important. That sounds silly and ridiculous, but they are. So being able to figure out how to cope with different strategies. There's going to be problems in life that we're going to face. Each one of us has different ones right now, I'm sure, and we need to figure out how to solve them to the best of our ability. So last semester in stress management, we did different problem-solving skill sets where we learned how to make something roll out of paper clips and paper. And we also built a tower, whoever had the highest tower, out of, I think it was straws, one. So those are problem-solving skills. They're very basic problem-solving skills, but nonetheless, they make you think. They make you think outside of the box of, how can I build a stable tower out of straws and make it as tall as I possibly can? So it makes us question, again, back to questioning what we know and what we can do. So it's important for us to have those problem-solving skills to take that next step in life and to manage the stress. Because if you can't solve a problem, then you're probably going to be more stressed out than you started. So again, those problem solving skills are very good stress management skills. So healthy relationships, we talked about this last week too, of being a good listener and being able to communicate effectively. So listening is oftentimes not listening to have an answer, but just to listen to what they have to say. Because really and truly, if you listen carefully, the words that they're using aren't as important as the implication between the words. So body language, what they're trying to give you with their tone, all of those things tell you what they're trying to communicate with you. And if you're a good listener and you're paying attention to what they have to say and not trying to give them something just to say back, then you're going to be able to understand where they're coming from and be present in that moment. And that creates a healthy relationship of understanding where that person's coming from and being able to not solve their problems, but be just an ear. Be an ear for them. Now, good communication, there's 3 different types of communication. There's passive communication, aggressive communication, and assertive communication. And the passive communication is when you're a doormat. It's simple as that. It's when you're a doormat and you don't want confrontation and you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So you're the yes person and you say yes to everything just because you don't want to hurt anybody. The aggressive person is the person that's going to run all over you and they're going to put themselves before you and kind of be a little rude and hateful just because that's how they feel. They don't really have a filter. Now, assertive people are the people in between. They are going to be respectful, but they're also going to let you know how they feel. They're going to not be a doormat, but they're also not going to be rude. They're going to, again, be polite about it. They're going to say, hey, I know you didn't mean anything by it, but I really got offended by the way that you were talking to me yesterday or talking to me just now. I would rather you not. I would rather you be more respectful instead of being like saying something such as, you were being such a butthole yesterday. Why the heck did you do that to me? That was ridiculous, etc., etc. That's more aggressive, whereas the assertive person is going to say, hey, I understand you had a bad day, but please don't take it out on me. That's being assertive. You're addressing the situation. You're not being aggressive and you're not being a doormat, just letting it go. So it's important for you to understand the boundaries of being assertive and being polite and respectful when you're being assertive. So, healthy lifestyle choices, we've talked about this continuously, so I'm just going to hit on the main bullet points that you already know. Being physically active, eating healthy, sleep, not drinking a lot, not smoking, all of those things play into healthy lifestyle factors. Okay, so I want to ask you guys these questions because they are very important. And we talked about spiritual wellness last week, and I want to hit on it again because it's important for managing stress. So here are the 4 questions that I want you guys to address, and I want you to bring in this piece of paper to me on Thursday. Is, what are the important relationships in my life? Number 1, what are the important relationships in my life? Number 2, where do I find comfort? Where do I find comfort? That doesn't have to be a physical place. If there is a physical place, then that's fine. If it's not, that's fine too. Number 3, what gives me hope and joy? What gives me hope and joy? That's number 3. Number 4, what do I believe will happen to me when physical life ends, and how do I feel about it? That's a big one. Number 4, what do I believe will happen to me when my physical life ends, and how do I feel about it? So I want you guys to answer these questions, and I want you to bring them to class for me. So answer these questions on a sheet of paper and bring them to class, and that will be considered part of your participation grade as well. Relaxation techniques, and we're going to talk more about these on Thursday, and I'm very excited about it. So progressive muscle relaxation, I'm going to post this PowerPoint online, and I want you to try each of these things. So progressive muscle relaxation, that's your PMR, and I want you to try that video, and I want you to write me a 4-sentence summary on that. Then meditation is very important, and I want you to watch the meditation video as well, and I want you to write me a paragraph summary about that. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? How was it? Will you do it again? Etc. Breathing and posture, those are also very important. So sometimes taking a deep breath to process things and just slow down, which is exactly what meditation is for. And then visualization and imagery, again, I want you to watch that video and then write me a summary. So you should have at least 3 summaries on your page, as well as answering those questions for me for your participation grade. Healthy reduction techniques, behaviors, and these are very simple that you can do. We're going to do some very complex, not complex, I shouldn't say complex, but these are everyday things that you can do throughout your day. You don't have to be sitting doing meditation for these. So simple behavior reductions or stress reduction techniques separate from an external stressor. So whatever is externally stressing you out, separate yourself from it. Take a break from it and then go back to it if you have to, but separate yourself from it for a little while. You'll be surprised what it does to you. I know sometimes for me personally, I'm a volleyball coach, and volleyball tends to kind of get the best of me sometimes. So those breaks that I have on the weekends are so beneficial for me to relieve that stress. Resolve incompletes, take care of it now. So don't wait until tomorrow to take care of something. If something's stressing you out, take care of it right then and there. Keep your finances organized. This is a big one. Balance that checkbook. Follow the 4 simple rules of make a budget, follow it, put away 10% of your income to a checking or a savings account and don't touch it. Don't spend what you don't have. Those kind of things. Follow the simple rules. Delegate. You don't have to do everything yourself. You can definitely delegate tasks. If you're in a group project, relinquish some of the control. It's okay. Then exercise obviously is a big one. Relax is a big one. Like I said, take deep breaths. Get a massage. That's a little bit more of an expensive one. But massages are wonderful and they are very helpful. Do something towards your goal, anything towards your goal. Go to the gym, finish your homework, drink that bottle of water, whatever it is that gives you a sense of purpose to finish that goal. Then listen to uplifting music. Most of the time when we are in a mood, we want to listen to music that reflects that mood. So if we are in a sad mood, then most of the time you're listening to sad music, right? But listen to uplifting music. It's very helpful. It's going to put you in a better mood. And laugh. That's the most important part of life, I think, is to laugh and have fun. Don't take life so seriously. Watch a funny movie. Go have lunch with your friends, and have a good time. Just have a good time. Now, for healthy stress management thought-stopping techniques, you can do visualization, take a mental vacation. You can focus on the positive, which is really, really important. We talked about this last week, of focus on the positive. Be grateful for things. We all have something to be grateful for. Elevate, or not elevate, but evaluate. Will this matter in 1 year? Is this situation that's stressing me out, is it going to matter in 1 year? If it's not, let it go. It's not going to make a difference in 1 year, then it's really not important to your life. Trust the positive outcome will happen. Detach yourself sometimes. Reframe your negative thoughts. Assume the best. So my phrase for life is assume the best, expect the worst, so you're not blindsided, but you're also being optimistic. You're being optimistic that that's going to be in a good outcome. But you're also weighing in on the other side of, I'm prepared if this doesn't go the way that I am hoping it goes. Forgive, like we talked about last week. Forgiveness is a big part of stress management too. Identify what's stressing you out and face it. Face your fears. Each of those things are very important. Now, I want to talk about what I want to do on Thursday with you guys, because I love, again, I keep saying it, but I love stress management classes. So Thursday, we're going to have 2 presenters. So Megan's going to present on yoga, and Maya is also going to present. And then after that, we're going to do a few different stress management techniques, like art therapy. We're going to do some art therapy. We're also going to do journal writing. If you want to participate in music therapy, we can also do that. I have lots of stuff planned for us on Thursday that's going to just strictly be stress management. It's not going to be me lecturing on anything. It's not going to be memorizing a PowerPoint. It's going to be actual stress management techniques. So that's something for you to look forward to on Thursday. I am not going to make a quiz for you on this. Your class participation is going to be based on the 4 questions that I asked you about your spiritual wellness, and it's also going to be about the 3 different stress management techniques that you're supposed to try through the PowerPoint, which were PMR, meditation, and I think it was mental visualization was one of them. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Let me go back through here and find it. Yeah, so 3. PMR, which is progressive muscle relaxation, meditation, and imagery. Those are your 3 that you need a paragraph for. Make sure your paragraphs are in depth and they answer multiple questions like, do I like it? Do I not like it? What did I not like about it? Am I going to try it again? Was it helpful? Each of those things, make sure you're talking about in your paragraph. So whenever I say a paragraph, I mean that you need to be in depth about that. So again, you're not going to have a quiz. That will be your participation. So I need that paper to me Thursday. I need it Thursday morning. And again, that will be your participation. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And I will see you guys on Thursday.